Okay, so you can see here, this has all come away, but that there is steel, and that is steel, and that's just wrapped in a bit of fiberglass. So I'm going to try and put the jack on here and just see if I can get some sort of movement out of this keel. So there it is there, and then I can do the glass repairs and whatnot. Now I can get to it anyway. Before I couldn't get anywhere near it, so that's great. Now I got access. Yep, so there's the main drawbar which went underneath the boat, so I've just cut that out. You can see there. So now I got access to the keel. The keel was basically underneath that piece of wood there, so now I've got access to it. I've freed the keel up. I can put all that back in, maybe put some more rollers in it, maybe doesn't need to be that long, maybe cut the end off. Yeah, so I've gone from that little surf cat to the boat that I have now. What can go wrong? Okay, so I finally got the keel moving. You can see it's down. It's sitting on that beam now, but it seems to be reasonably free. I can do it by hand. Hopefully there's a hinge down the other end. I don't know how much damage I've done. Like, I had a reciprocal saw up the side of it just to get all the crap and so I could move, but hopefully I haven't done any damage on the inside skin that's going to leak. So I think that'd have to come out eventually to have a look inside to make sure everything's okay. Otherwise it might be might sink real quick. Anyway, one job done, I suppose. Now onto the motor. So I finally got this keel to move. This is probably about a 2-day event, but she's moving now, which is fantastic. So what I'll have to do, I'll have to measure this up, this base, and then I'll make a table. Okay, so that's motor in. Now I just gotta do a long process of just trying to shim up and get the engine mounts exactly straight, so I don't flog out my propeller shaft. That's going to be, see how I go with that. Okay, so these bolt holes, they were all stripped on both sides. One's got a helicoil in it, and so, but these ones were full of dirt. So I just managed to tap all them out and clean them out, and these guys are solid. So I've got some mounts there. I've put this on down to here, and the same with this one. I've just got to drill some holes in this one, and now I'm just going to put it in place and then maybe build it up and see what angle, and I'll weld feet or whatever, or cut this, or do what I have to do to get these to the right thing and put the engine mounts underneath that. This is a painful, slow process, but I got to get it right, otherwise it'll fail. So this seems to be taking the longest of anything at the moment. So I bought this coupling. I felt that it would take. I thought that steel on steel was just going to create, maybe vibration. So I thought this flexi drive thing would actually just take some vibration out and maybe help me if it's not exactly straight when I put this on. So, it's got a little thing there that locates inside here, and the same on the other side, that sort of locates in there. So, yeah, but there's some more modifications to come. So, but yeah, we're getting there. Okay, so you've got the coupling bolted to the shaft now. Now it's just a matter of lining it all up and putting it onto here. And then the hard part of getting the right spacings underneath these engine mounts and making some sort of engine mount in there. That's going to take some time. Okay, so I picked up this Zodiac. Okay, we pumped it up. It's a 3.2 meter Zodiac. It's an Aqua Pro. Okay, yeah, it's not pretty, but it pumps up, it doesn't leak, has all the attachments for it. So, bowing and handles and whatever it is, the whole thing. Okay, I got to get a bit of glue, clean it up, stick it back together again. 50 bucks, okay? Other thing, I was shopping around for engine mounts for the motor, and all these crazy prices I was getting. I know there's going to be these purists out there saying you need this, need that, but look, it's a little 3-cylinder Kubota motor, and with a gearbox. The whole thing probably weighs about, I don't know, 100 kilos. Okay, so I got 4 of these. I was actually getting priced up of $250 per mount. So it's going to be $1,000 just in engine mounts. That's more than I paid for the motor and the gearbox. So, I know, I just went to the store, went through their book, and went through all the different pictures of all their mounts. I picked these up for 10 bucks each. Okay, more than ample. As long as they actually make them so they sit, so the force is down, obviously not to the side, it'll be fine, right? That's good solid rubber, good solid mount. I just have to cut off these little locating bits, shim it up to get the right height. Perfect. So what's that? Yeah, 30, 40 bucks for 4 compared to $1,000. Okay. Again, I shopped around for the raw water pump for my intercooler to cool for the cooling of the engine. Again, I was getting all these prices, $800, $1,000, just to set up exactly the same style pump, the brass impeller, the black rubber impeller in here, brass casing, good quality. What is it? It's 14 amps, 12 volts, 23 litres per minute, more than enough. And you can double that up if you want to put another fitting on here and use it as a deck wash or whatever you want to do with it. Multi-purpose instead of having on the pulley system. On the pulley system on the engine, it was going to cost me, besides all the screwing around, setting up the pulleys on the motor and all that other stuff, it's going to cost me about $1,000 just in parts alone. So I got this cost me 200 bucks. Okay, just bolted on, a couple of fittings, away I go. You know, even if I have to carry a spare one, whatever, it's still 400 bucks. Okay, I'm just the whole marine thing is, if you've got a ton of money, which I think they're used to dealing with people with a ton of money, then fair enough. Okay, great. Just charge what you want. But for people who if you want on a bit of a budget, or you just physically just don't want to pay that sort of money because you think it's crazy, there's a lot of cheaper ways to do things. Anyway, rant over. Okay, so I've cut all the 4 off. So now, time for some nuts. Okay, so my trusty bolt selection and nuts and bolts. Got all my nuts. So now it's on to washers. I'm sure I'll find it up. And then we'll start building from my little scrap pile over there, which I never throw anything out. We'll build up some base mounts for it. Oh, that was handy. So must be a super common size. I got all my washers from the first container. So that saved a lot of time. So that's done. Now I'll start going through all of this to work out what's the best way to mount this to the hull of the boat. Alright, so the plan would be to use this bit of galv box. I'll cut, I don't know, just cut a piece about this big, drill a hole, that'll sit on there. I got some of this galv flat bar laying around, so, and that I could cut maybe that in half there, cut another piece of plywood a bit bigger as a feet, and then weld that to there, and then glass glass it all in and just leaving the glass, sort of glass up into there. So this will be exposed, but all this will be glass. That'll be welded and then glass all that in, and then, but all the pressure is going to be pushing down anyway, so it's not like it's any sideway force, or it may be a little bit of thrust, but not much. So there's going to be 4 of these holding this thing in, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. See how it works. It might work. If not, we'll just try something different. Okay, so this is basically how I'm going to set it up. So this will go on the hull, then this, then like that, and that will be, put a hole through there, boom. So that's going to be my mount. And then just glass it all in. It all seems to fit. So there we go. Okay, so made these up at an angle so they'll sit, you know, like that on the hull, because the hull was going down, so they'll sit straight. Just tack them on with these. It's all been welded. The bolts in through there, all bolted. Just tacked it with these 2 stainless screws just to hold it in place, basically. And then just going to glass all over it, all around it. Yeah, I reckon it'd be good. So 4 of these to support the motor should be heaps. Okay, so here's the mount. I'll sometimes sit about there. I'll do some more grinding. Clean it up a bit more. I'll set the motor in, line it all up, and just sort of start glassing it all in. And do some more grinding, get some more paint on. But we're getting somewhere finally. Okay, so I've got the mount in. I've just liquid nails it to the hull, and then tomorrow I'll come out and I'll lift the motor off and I'll glass it all in. Beautiful. Okay, so I've just lifted the motor out. I've actually liquid nailed the mounts in overnight. So when I lifted the engine out, I was very careful so they wouldn't move and disturb them. They're all in exactly the right spot now. So now I've just got to fiberglass them all in. Okay, so these are all glassed in now, nice and hard. I'll give it a bit of paint. And then I have to work on, the motor didn't come with an alternator. Well, it did in the advert, but the guy pretty much decided to keep it and rip me off. So that's another story. So anyway, I've got to set up an alternator. I bought an alternator yesterday for $50. It's an old Land Cruiser. Old Land Cruiser alternator. They're normally, hopefully, about 100, 110 amp alternator. So I'll probably just mount it off this and run it around, and then that's the next job, basically. Okay, so I made some brackets for the heat exchanger, put all the fittings, so welded some fittings up and got it in place. I know it's big, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. Got it for like $100. It's from, I don't know what it's a good unit. It's a really heavy duty heat exchanger, so it'll work. It'll work really well. So, and the thermostat of the engine will take care of the temperature, so it'll be fine. Okay, so now I wanted to put that in before I put the engine in, because of the obviously climbing out the engine and trying to get in there. I'll do a few little more things before I put the engine in. Make up some hinges and brackets and things like that, and then I'll put it in. Cheers.